She's going to film right here, so just
Yep.
before you set up.
Yep, go right ahead. Can you get...
I wanted to dive into the world of HR, into the world of I was determined to how can I fix this process? How can I change hiring and do it my own way to make okay, what are we doing? Do I want to go back into the corporate world? Do I, what are we doing here? Not
Just
working.
swap, yeah.
Okay. I don't have to start over, do I? Okay, good. Great. Where was I at? Yeah, so laid off. Great place to pick back up. I have a wonderful mentor of a husband who is also a small business owner here in St. Joe. Shout out Vesco Construction. He built a construction company, him and his partner, from the ground up. And so I went to him and I was like, okay, I know how the staffing world works. I know, the resources I need. Very little overhead. Like, do you think it's worth it? And he's like, let's do it. Like, let's go. If it doesn't work, what do we do? I go back, I find a full-time job. So, so in last April, about, I think April 18th-ish, I established my LLC and then got my first client in June, and been doing that since. Looking back on it, and throughout the process of deciding to kind of go out on my own, I had three main reasons, and there they are. My three wonderful boys. I am now able to make my schedule, do what I need to do. I'm going on a field trip for my middle tomorrow. Things that I don't have to worry about PTO. I don't have to worry about, is everything going to get done while I'm gone? Who's going to take it over? I'm able to balance my schedule and do it for them. It's ultimately, I hope I can continue doing this for as long as, they're young, and as long as I'm able to obviously be present in their activities. So, okay, so what we do, what I do. We sounds like I'm a, bigger company, so I just put we. I do full service recruitment, starting with the sourcing and the resume review process. I'd say this is probably my biggest advantage, because I do have a LinkedIn recruiter seat, so I am able to work with the client and they tell me, okay, I want somebody with this skill set in this location that's worked for this company. I can get it as detailed, as broad, and I can go out and I can find those candidates. A lot of that is a lot harder for just a company to do without that tool. That is my tool. It was funny when I remember telling my husband how much that cost to get that recruiter seat, and he was like, well, are you sure you need that? And I was like, well, okay, you have an excavator, right? Like, that's your excavator. He's like, well, I need that to work. I said, okay, the one with AC and heating, like that's the one. And it is truly the tool that makes my job easier. I'm better at my job because of it. So that's really that sourcing and resume review part is really my biggest advantage, my biggest value that I bring to the table. I am usually the first part of the process. I will screen, I will get people on the phone, talk to them about salary, location, what's driving them to find a new role, what they want in a new role, all of that. I'll help schedule, coordinate interviews. Sometimes clients want to do that themselves, which is fine. But I'll set up interview links, send interview prep, all of that fun stuff. And then offer prep, I can help with salary negotiation. Had a lot of experience with that in my past roles. Knowing the salary landscape, knowing where average salaries are in this area, or if it's a remote role, doing research there. So the nice thing is I can do all of that, or I can just, do one step depending on what the client needs. So industries and types of positions, obviously marketing and creative is kind of where I started, where I thought I was going to be. Out of all the positions I've filled 2 marketing roles. Everything else has been across the board. Quite a few sales roles, creative, obviously kind of lumped into marketing, HR admin, IT roles, and even some warehouse manufacturing roles. In terms of industries, been in animal health, been in manufacturing, actually filled a locksmith role the other day remotely. Who knew? So yeah, pretty much, I really don't want to silo myself into something specific just because it, now I have the opportunity to learn new industries, learn new roles, all of that. So target market. So I feel like the size I am, I fit best into that small, mid-size company area, I guess. The large ones a lot of times have a lot more red tape to get in. They have lists of preferred agencies they like to use. And so I feel like that small to mid-size is kind of my sweet spot. Would prefer local. There's nothing better than getting on a phone with a candidate who lives, 10 minutes from you. You can obviously talk about the weather. That's always the first thing that gets brought up. But talk about things you have common interest in, common, location topics. It's always helpful. Obviously, I'm not going to turn down a remote. If it's a remote role, if it's a national client, I'm not going to turn that down, but I would prefer local. And then the next 3 are kind of the 3 buckets that I put my clients into. So my biggest opportunity is in that no in-house recruiting team. So these are companies that are delegating, they're relying on their hiring managers, they're relying on their department leads to make these hires and go out and find these people. And if you know getting stuff put on your plate on top of your day-to-day, like it can be daunting. It can take away from your day-to-day. So that to me is the biggest opportunity, you know, taking that off those people's plates and letting them focus on their actual job. Low bandwidth, this is companies that may have a recruiting team, but have a ton of positions on their board. So they have, you know, 15 and they have one recruiter and they're like, okay, these are all priority help. Like we need another set of hands in here. And then the third one are unicorn roles, which are the specialty roles, the really hard to find positions. Maybe they just need another set of eyes, a different talent pool. You know, they just need a little extra help. They've had trouble filling a difficult role, so they call on external for those as well. These are just some high level, you know, why would somebody, you know, hire an external agency? Access to larger talent pool. I have a ton of connections just from previous roles. And again, I have that talent pool across LinkedIn that I have access to. Faster time to hire. When you have somebody focusing their full time on something, it's most likely, hopefully going to get hired. You know, the role's going to get filled faster. I had a client tell me a couple weeks ago, they had a role open for 2 years. They were trying to find somebody and we filled it from start to finish in like 2.5 months. And that included bringing people in for like out of town interviews. So something to be proud of, knowing that, you know, people are spending years looking for people and we can really shorten that amount of time. So obviously I have the knowledge of the industry, like I said, salary negotiation, all of that fun stuff. Reduce internal workload, again, taking stuff off people's plates internally. Competitive advantage in hiring. I saw a stat on LinkedIn the other day that passive candidates make up 70% of hires in the workforce, meaning they are not necessarily looking. Maybe they're like dabbling in the job market, but recruiters are going out and finding them versus them, you know, people that are just submitting applications. So kind of showing that recruiter, you know, we still are worth it. We still are, you know, valuable in the industry. And then cost efficiency. I mean, you're not hiring a full-time recruiter. You're not paying for benefits. You're not paying for PTO. You're not, you know, you're literally just paying on at an as needed basis. So figures. So up until today, I've filled 19 positions since June. My goal was 6 in the first year. So that's really cool. Competitive fee structure. So I come in at the low end of, if you pull up average percentage of, you know, what companies are paying external, I'm at the very low end. Did that for a reason. You know, it's just me. I really want to be competitive in the industry. So I do come in quite a bit lower, and then low overhead. Like I said, my biggest expense is LinkedIn. And other than that, it's me. So not a lot of overhead. So, problems and challenges. So obviously finding people to find value in what I do, securing those clients, getting them to, you know, bringing them on board. One nice thing about, at least my fee structure is I do not get paid unless I fill a role. So, a lot of times I think showing clients that, you know, there really isn't a huge risk. If you bring me in, I don't find something, sucks for me, but you know, you don't have to pay me anything. So, it's a win for them. But definitely figuring out what makes me different. There's a lot of agencies out there. So how do I stand out? Being the middleman, it's probably like the most day-to-day frustrating part. You're the messenger. You're playing telephone, all day. So hearing from hiring managers, you know, candidates asking for updates, not having updates. It's a back and forth. Communicating with candidates is my favorite part of my job though. So, but I do have to give the good news and the bad news. So, that's kind of a hard part. And then the changing landscape, AI is here. It's here to stay, I'm sure. So kind of navigating how that fits into my world. I won't lie. I use ChatGPT for stuff all the time. But one aspect that I don't see going away is the human element. I think talking to a human and having conversations with candidates, what's driving them, why are they looking for a new role? What are they looking for? An AI tool is just not going to be able to do that. And so I'm hoping that you see these articles all the time that are like, yeah, recruiters are on their way out. Well, I hope not, because that's paying the bills right now. So not. Okay, so goals. This is model number 1. They were all super thrilled to get a shirt and have to wear it for a picture. I think this was take like 45 of this, the oldest. So my goal is obviously to add clients to my portfolio, I guess you could say. I also want to make sure that I'm balancing. I want to be able to, because it's just me right now, I want to be able to give my full focus to the clients that I'm working with. So I'd love to bring on a couple more, but don't want to like completely overwhelm myself. Increase social media presence. As a marketing person, I hate social media. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I shouldn't say that. I have never been great at the social media upkeep. And so that's something I think I could definitely improve on. So increasing there. And then long term, potentially adding staff. I don't know when, I don't know if. I mean, right now I love it being just me, but it'd be nice to get to a point where it's like, hey, I might need some help. So that's kind of a long-term goal for me as well. How you can help. There's model number 2. Referrals, obviously, if somebody's looking for hiring help, obviously referrals are great. Take a hiring snapshot. So if you're a decision maker, if you run a team, just look at your current hiring situation. Have you had positions on the board for months? It's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to need external help, but sometimes it's nice to just, take a look and see if there's a potential for needing any help in that world. And then let's chat. If you're open, if you want to have a conversation about it, I'd love to chat. So yeah. And then there's number 3. So yeah, there's my contact information, and yeah, thank you so much.
I'll ask the first one because everybody looks scared. So I remember like in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was first in the workforce, we actually would hire someone to help us find a role. Do you ever do it in the reverse?
Like as a candidate?
Yeah, I'm a candidate.
Yep.
I'm trying to find my dream role. I just graduated college.
Yes. Yes, and I get inquiries about that all the time. And I was actually going to I should have put that in kind of a goal. I would love to build out that side of the business. It's a little bit harder to, it's almost a separate business plan, because it's like, right, absolutely. And yeah, no, 100%. I think it's a matter, I get people all the time, and a lot of times I just will go out and help them on my own, because it's a simple like, hey, I applied for this job. You're connected with the hiring manager on LinkedIn. Could you reach out? Absolutely. So I'll reach out on behalf of them. But I do think it's a separate baby, just because you have to figure out, it has to be valuable for me too, as a business. And so figuring out how to, right. And I honestly, I never turn down a conversation, even if it's just okay, tell me what you're wanting to do. What are you currently doing? Let me see what I can, if I have anything currently on my board, or if I know of anybody. Yeah. So hope that answers the question.
Do you have any luck finding, career changers? Because I know a lot of times the skill sets that apply to the role for hiring,
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily want an industry person that was untrained. So have you had luck finding career changers?
Yes, I haven't been as much in that. I guess, okay, explain. Sorry, ask it one more time. I'm just confused. Sorry.
They'll be a nurse for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be
Okay. Yeah. We've had, and I had a lot of that while I was working at the ad agency. I remember one candidate specifically was a teacher, and she was just like, I want to get out of this. As a recruiter, my job was to go to that hiring manager and say, hey, look at her skill set. Like, this is what she's done. It is a little bit harder because a lot of times people look, hiring managers look at, okay, well, she's a teacher. She's not a graphic designer, So, with that, I think connections are huge. I think, whether that's speaking to a recruiter to kind of get you in the door or, taking courses, especially like in the media world, take a Google Analytics class, take some of these things that would at least help boost that side. If anything, does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Have you experienced any struggles with these industries that you're not familiar with and these employers are asking to hire them and then needing all the credentials and background? Is that a struggle?
Yes. It's hard. It's hard in a sense that, it's best when you can really sit down with the hiring manager. There's times that you are, here I am as a recruiter, here's the hiring manager, here's the decision maker. So I don't have a direct, because I'm thinking of a role specifically. I didn't have a direct line to the person making the decision. So I would talk to these candidates and be like, okay, they check 3 out of the 4 boxes. And you'd pass them on and you're like, yes, this is finally a good candidate. The hiring manager loves them. And then you pass them to the decision maker and they're like, nope, they don't have all 4. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think it's the communication. You just have to, I always encourage, have a conversation with them. Get them on the phone. You don't even have to do it in person. Get them on the phone for 30 minutes. Let them tell you their story. Maybe they have a skill set that's not on the resume. We run into that a lot too. You can only fit so much on the resume, right? And that can be really frustrating too, because someone's like, I don't like their resume. Talk to them at least. They have the background, just talk to them. So yeah, it is kind of frustrating and a struggle for sure. I don't. A lot of times if there is a skills test, a lot of times the client will. That could be part of, I know specifically a client I worked with it was after my screen and then they had a first round interview. They offered a skills test. I did coordinate it. So I sent it to them, talked them through it and stuff, but I don't have one specifically just because I think I'm so far across the board in terms of, I think it'd be hard to narrow. But if a client wants that, I'd be happy to put something together and offer that for sure. Yes.
You have the relationship in the workforce with LinkedIn. Do you offer the service of helping someone create their LinkedIn either for their business or for their personal?
I could absolutely, yes, 100%. I could help with that for sure. Again, social media, posting on social media. I'm probably the wrong person to ask, which I would love help with that. So any suggestions there would be great. But yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, speaking of social media, do you have Facebook?
I do. Oh yeah, I forgot to put it on there. It's probably because there's not a lot. There's a couple things. Yes. And then, so Facebook and then LinkedIn, obviously. It's hard because it's hiring. How exciting. I would love to be able to think of an idea let's make this a little bit more exciting than just, hey, are you a client looking to hire? I try to spin some jokes in there and.
When they get hired and you connect, you match them, that would be cute. Matching to the people you're matching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, swipe left. Isn't that what it is? I was married when Tinder was, so I don't know. I swiped whatever way is good. I don't.
So, resumes.
Yes.
So my son-in-law, his resume, this kid is totally marketable. Anybody should hire.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. But his resume looks like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And in my role, I need video. And if I'm providing a proposal to you and I've never met you, so that my product doesn't just go into a spreadsheet that this is Matt's product at this price compared to everybody else, I'll send you a little video of, hey, nice to meet you. Here's a little bit about me.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a little bit about our company. And it totally has skyrocketed my sales to people that I've never met before.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder is that too cliche? It's not cliche, but is that arrogant?
No.
Totally out of the box that maybe a hiring manager is going to say, this is a little ballsy, let's not.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, if you go on LinkedIn, and especially remote jobs, if you look, it'll say like over 100 people have applied. That's probably thousands. Like, it's the number of applications that come through. It's insane. Like, you're not going to see all of them. It's crazy. I remember specifically, I had someone that literally created his own brand. I mean, his own logo, his own, and everything about it was directed to this company. Was it a lot? Yes. Did he get a job? Yes, he did. He got a job at, a top ad agency in the country. So like,
Out of the box,
I mean, it's going to make people talk about it. You're going to get noticed. I mean, if he interviews awful, if he was an awful interview, then, but he wasn't. He was excited, and any chance they get, especially on LinkedIn, if you apply for a job, and sometimes there's a little thing that says like, this is the hiring manager. Connect with them, send them a message. Every time. I always suggest that. Will they have 65 messages in their inbox? Probably, but you may be at the top and they may see it. You just never know. So
going back to what Bobby and Nick and Matt said, what is a position like that called? Job recruiter coach, or what's that called? And what's the how do you charge for that in other industries?
that's the hard part. And that's where, like, again, it's almost a completely different, because like my focus right now is client, right? I'm like on the client side. I'm not saying I don't want to be, because I love talking to cancer.
What would you call that in the industry?
I think coach. Yeah.
So if you help them place,
Mm-hmm. You could do hourly. I mean, I've never worked with one specifically. I think there's probably different,
I would look into that, because I've always thought there's a need for that.
100%.
When you're wanting a career,
100%.
People get in their 40s,
Yep.
they're like, wait, what am I doing?
No.
What else would I like to do?
Yeah.
But also what they said with newbies looking for a job.
Yeah.
To pay someone to get a nice.
Well, and just even somebody to look at their resume. I mean, I hate talking about AI in a positive way, but there are so many tools now that you can put your resume into an AI tool and it'll tell you, like, it'll highlight keywords and be like, okay, like this will stand out. Does it? I mean, if everybody's doing it, so I think but I definitely think doing something a little above and beyond is always, if anything, they're going to talk about it if they see it. So yeah, that's the, again, different. Yeah.
Embrace that a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. I think there's so many kids fresh out of college that are so worthy of jobs, but yet
Yep.
the resume doesn't look any different than the kid that isn't.
And LinkedIn will automatically screen them out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you'll never see them. Yeah, our last position,
It's
500 screened out.
yeah. And there are some AI tools out there. I worked with one that would rank them, like resumes would go in and then it would rank them based on, like, location was key because there was a couple states they couldn't hire in. It ranked it by skill. It ranked it by, I don't remember what else, and then it put it in order for you. Was that helpful? Absolutely. Because then you knew, okay, let's start with these resumes and go from there. But I feel like I would like go down the list and go to some of the lower ones. I'm like, man, we really missed out on somebody right here. So it only does so much. Is it helpful? Yes. But again, it's pulling out that human element. And that's the part that is so important. You're last. Yeah, good question. It's interesting. So I'm lucky enough. My youngest is 2. He's home with me a couple days. On the days that he is not home, it's, I think scheduling calls, scheduling screens is always, number one. Getting people on the phone. The business development side has taken kind of a back seat, which that's why I said it was more of a goal for me to really push the client side of things. Because it is a little bit more time consuming, reaching out, getting in contact with businesses, seeing if they need help. But just balancing, it kind of comes and goes depending on how many roles I have open. But yeah, that really doesn't answer your question, because that's I'm a mom and a full-time employee. So I think it's like, I'm sure a lot of you understand how that is. So, but just making sure I balance and I'm able to give my clients, 100% of the time when I have the time, I guess, if that makes sense. So, yes. But, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I've got one.
One, real quick.
So, which you might not know, but you talked. It seems like things are moving so fast for you, and I know you, and I've worked with you, so
Yes.
but it's probably still not too early to talk about or start thinking about what's next. Am I building this thing to sell it, or am I going to manage this thing for all my
You
life?
buying?
And then
What you got? No, I'm just
If-
kidding.
and then once you do get people hired, I've got another segment for you.
Oh,
Because
goody.
most of you don't know, but Ellie, I would probably put her up against anybody as far as sports knowledge in this room. So huge sports fan. And if you're going to talk to college graduates about their position, why not get into sports recruiting?
I was like 5 and wanted to be a sports agent at one point in my life. So, could happen. Oh, yes.
Thank you.